In these videos, I'm going to show you how to create this two-part box using En-route and then cutting that on our CNC machine. We're going to start with a simple rectangular box. You can also embellish this with a laser cut later on. You can make any shape, but I would recommend you start with this 3x5 rectangle, and then we can go from there after you've created the first one if you want to try some other shapes. We're going to begin by opening up En-route, and you're going to create a new file. When you do your new file, we're going to take a quick look at the drawing here. You're going to create the base and the lid on the same piece of material. The piece of material is represented by the blue box here in this program, and it is 14 inches long by 4 inches wide, and our thickness will be 0.8125. So we're going to define our plate based on that. So going over to En-route here, you're going to type in a width of 14, a height of 4, and a thickness of 0.1825. While we're here, we're going to set up your material library. This is going to make toolpathing much easier. So you're going to click on the material library. We're going to create a new one. So we'll hit new here, and we'll select, I'm just going to put this in as pine. And for pine, my feed rate is going to be 100 inches per minute. My plunge rate is typically half of my feed, so 50 inches per minute. And my spindle speed is going to be set to 18,000. That's the max speed on the router. So again, you're going to name your material. You're going to make the feed rate 100, plunge rate 50, and spindle at 18,000. At that point, you're going to save that material, and then you're going to select that pine one is one I just created. That's going to hold that value for all your toolpaths that we'll create in video 2. So again, width 14, and that's really the length of the board, but it's set up in the X direction. Height of the board is truly the width of the board when we look at it across the grain, but it'll be set to 4, and then our thickness, of course, 0.8125. So we'll hit OK on that. So now we have this red box. This is our plate. That plate is the same size as the box I have highlighted over here. We're going to begin by creating the outside rectangles for our two pieces. So those rectangles are both 3x5. They have a radius of 0.5 on each one of their corners. And if we look up here, a little bit simplified, we are centering those 4 inches and 10 inches over and 2 inches up. So we'll refer back to this in just a moment. So we're going to go over to En-route and we're going to start creating those rectangles. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool. And see, I've already got this typed in from the last demo I did, but let's say this was different. Let's say it was a 2x2 with square corners, or 2x3 in that case. You're going to go in and you are going to select a width of 5, and then you're going to click a height of 3, and then you're going to select a rounded corner or filleted corner, and you're going to type your radius in of 0.5. And then I'm just going to click 2 of these. They're not in the right position yet, but I'm just going to place them on with a left click, and then I'll hit apply and close. So I actually got an extra one there. I'll select that and hit the delete key. And now it's time to move these into the correct location. So again, looking at our locations, we're going to be set at 4 and 10 inches over and 2 inches up. That gives us enough room to put a screw in on each end here and make sure that the bit doesn't intersect when it's cutting that part out on the end. So back to En-route here. This is under the View Activate Precision Input dialog, or you can hit F2, one of the function keys on top of your keyboard. I'll need to select my first rectangle. Right now it says the width and height are 3. I don't want to change that. I just want to move it. So I'm going to go over to the Move option here, and I'm going to select the center of my shape. And in the X direction, I'm going to make that 4, Y direction 2, and then I'll hit OK. So that's the first one in the right location. Now I'm going to select the second one, still in the center. Y is still going to be 2, half the width of my board. And this is going to be centered at 10 inches in the X. So now we have our first 2 rectangles placed. Looking at the drawing, we're going to have some offset lines here. Now the lid, the total thickness of the lid, if we look at it down here, is 3/8 of an inch here. And then we have this lip where the 2 pieces are going to fit together. For the lid, it's a simple offset of 3/16, or 0.1875. When we get to the base, we have to make a slight modification. So if I take and I move this lid, so I'm going to select the lid piece here, and I will drop that down. As I bring those together, if I make these things fit perfect, and I know this from experience, if you push those together, you're not going to get those apart. They're going to have a force fit together. So we need to leave a little bit of room. So for this base piece, instead of going in 0.1875, we're adding an extra 10 thousandths there. So we're going to go in 0.1975. That leaves us a little thinner lip here. This part's a little bit thinner, but that's going to allow those two pieces to go together. So I'm going to start though first just with offsetting the center one. So both of them, the thickness is going to be 0.375 or 3/8 of an inch from the inside to the outside. So we'll go over to En route, and you're going to find your offset tool, which is over here, this offset contours, and I'm going to put in that value 0.375. So I'm typing that in. There's going to be one of them, and it's going to go in line. So I'm going to select my shape, and then now that dropped back to 0.1875. So I'm going to put that back in again, and I'm going to hit apply on that, and I'll do the same thing on the other shape. Select it, make sure it's 0.375, hit apply and close. Now notice the inside corner. This is important. We have a cutter that is a 1/4 inch diameter. So if we go back to this drawing here, and I draw a little shape in here, so we have this 1/4 inch cutter that's going to come through. When I go around this corner, I'm not going to get a sharp corner. The corner is going to be defined by this bit, and it's important that that inner one can be no smaller than the radius of the cutter itself. Otherwise, these offsets are not going to work. So now we'll go ahead and offset this center line. This will be 0.1875 for the lid, and the base 1975. So we'll go back to our offset contours, and I'm going to begin. I'll select the contour I want to offset first, and I'll go in, and then I'm going to type in this case, 0.1875, and that's going to be inline, and I will hit apply. And then I'm going to select the second one. I'm going to do this too right here. So I'll click on my offset contours again, and this time this is going to be 1975. That extra 10 thousandths of an inch is going to make a difference. So those actually fit together. So this part at this point is ready to toolpath. That's all it takes. We're going to save this, and then we'll pick up with toolpath or adding toolpaths in video 2. So you want to save this onto your OneDrive. So you want to go to File, Save. I've got to close out of this. So I will hit close to get me out of the offset tool, and then I'll go up to File, Save, and then I want to save this in my OneDrive folder. Now I have this in a bunch of subfolders. If you have a folder for your materials class, that would be good. I have this saved in a 2-part box, and I have a couple other ones here, but you want to name this 2-part box, put your name there, whatever makes sense to you. We'll pick up with toolpaths then in video 2.